and welcome to Ear to the Ground. This week we go on the road with a unique mobile milking parlour. The average dairy farmer spends 1/3 of his time milking and herding cows. Now, in a business that's under pressure from rising costs and ever-decreasing margins, that's a lot of time spent moving cows from A to B. But if one farmer has his way, milking will become a lot more upwardly mobile. The idea of a milking parlour that would allow cows to be milked in the field came to farmer William O'Leary when he found himself keeping cows further and further from his own yard.
We're dairy farmers ourselves, and our farm is comprising of 3 and 4 different parcels of land. It's divided by public roads and rights of way, and our cow numbers have expanded over recent years, and there's a number of problems that we run into, and time spent herding the cows from the field to the parlour would be a major issue. And running alongside that, we would have lameness associated with long distance that the cows have to walk. We started initially in thinking in terms of maybe building a second milking parlour on one particular oat farm, but that would not have solved the problem of accessing the third parcel. So it was really at that stage that we contemplated the possibility maybe of, would it be feasible to contemplate building something that would be mobile.
After building the prototype unit on his own farm, William was keen to see if the mobile milking parlour would work when it was put into use. Dairy farmer Owen Godwin has been using the system since last May, and he's found that it is possible to make milking more user-friendly.
Well, the first thing I do is sit in the car and drive to the block of land wherever it be. We start up the tractor there, wash out the machine, and walk my 2 or 3 minutes down to the cows, and they'll be actually gathering as the tractor started, just like any other machine, and fence them in around the back of the parlour there, and away we go. We're milking 90 cows here at the minute now, and it's taking roughly about an hour.
God, it's a holiday for you.
Just it is. I own 70 acres of land. I have 3 other blocks of land leased, one 3 miles away, and the other 2 bits a mile and a half. It was becoming more impossible almost to start walking cows. Earlier and earlier we had to get up to bring the cows, because earlier and earlier people have to go to work in order to beat the traffic. Approximately 3/4 of a mile would be the furthest distance, which was taken up in an hour both ways. So with the system we're taking that an hour and a half off per day.
Because the mobile parlour can be moved from field to field, it allows Owen to keep cows on rented land at a distance from his own farm. But like any new system, it did take a bit of getting used to.
It was a bit of a learning curve now for us. Early May, land was wetter than it is actually now, which probably wouldn't be the case every year. But what we did learn is if the cows were coming onto a fresh block of grass at every milking, even when the cows are gathering at the back, if there's fresh grass there, they won't do as much damage. Actually, the damage is minimal anyway. It's just almost as if you had cows standing around a gap waiting to be milked, every morning and every evening as they do. But this system, you're moving around. The main advantage is that it can milk more cows, and be it on a rented block of land or owned land that's away from the home, that's the big advantage of it.
William has used hydraulics to allow the parlour to be folded and transported over land. But the actual milking machinery is the same as anything that would be found in a regular parlour.
This is effectively a standard enough type of parlour. I suppose the difference is in its structural side of things, how it's mounted, how it's actually put together, how it's set up so that it can be moved around. For example, the dairy is separate to the main milking parlour because both of them need to be transported separately. I suppose the main change that you see in dairy farming in the last number of years is the issue of scale. Parlours have got bigger. They've become more advanced, mainly because people want to milk probably more cows, and they probably want to still do it with one person, and probably in the same amount of time or in fact less time than what they've normally done.
How have the cows taken to it, really?
We're quite happy with how the cows have taken to it. apart from initial training in period, which is maybe a difficulty in any new situation, they have taken to it, and the cow flow to the parlour, we're very satisfied with it, and we're satisfied, I suppose, primarily from the hassle, stress-free situation that the cows find themselves in. Quite frankly, they're enjoying the life of a suckler cow as opposed to a dairy cow having to be herded to and from yards.
As milk prices fall and costs increase, farmers are looking for ways to maximise production, and access to grazing land is one factor that will have to be taken into account.
Since the changes in the price support for milk price is not as good as it was, and income is a huge problem on most farms and is becoming a big problem. And a lot of farms are small. Dairy farms tend to be small by nature, a lot of them. And a lot of people are caught with small land bases. And if they're limited in land around the parlour, which is a big factor, they have to look at alternatives. And I suppose what Owen is doing here is one alternative.
The mobility of William's system has allowed Owen to milk his cows on different pieces of land. But other farmers are facing similar problems. More cars and commuter traffic mean that it's becoming harder to herd animals on Irish roads.
It's difficult to get land close to your milking parlour. You know, anyone that does is very, very fortunate, and it's certainly a rare thing.
Is it becoming more and more unsafe to walk the cows for milking?
It's almost impossible. Unless you live in a very, very quiet country area, if you have to access public roads, it's almost impossible. And any kind of a road other than a little laneway, you just simply can't walk cows on roads anymore. Because there's so much traffic, and the traffic is moving so rapidly, and people just want to go, they want to move. It's just not practical to hold up the traffic, and as well as that you need help, and help is very scarce on dairy farms, mostly one-man operations, and it's just not possible to move cows on public roads with a one-man operation. Young farmers who want to stay in the business are certainly going to have to look at some solution like what Owen is doing. People that are moving on in years may just continue on as they are and finish out. But anyone in their 30s or younger certainly has to look at options and look at solutions to small holdings.
The main reason I'd recommend it is because nobody knows how long they're going to have the land leased or rented for. And unless you know that you're going to have land for 20 years, you're not going to build a milking parlour in it. So if you're in short-term leases, this is the ideal system.
Well, that's all from Ear to the Ground for this week. You can contact us on our comment line. That's 1850 927 927.